After years of waiting and months of speculation, a Code Veronica remake was finally announced, and this time you'll have to live under the horror of being French. Seriously though, I'm excited.
I want it. Now!
I trust Capcom to do a good job, because after all, they did do good with 2, with 4, 3 was sad, but a good effort. Village was okay, I guess. And 9 was, well, 9 was... What was 9 really? When you ask me, I'll often tell you I think Resident Evil Requiem was a 6 out of 10 or a 7 out of 10 that could have easily been a 10 out of 10. It is filled with issues, but they so clearly come from good ideas. Very briefly, we can mention the story, which is meh at worst and really interesting at best. I just wish it went deeper into certain story themes such as, you know, this guy or those girls. I mean, they do talk about it a bit, but you know, it's like, it's been here all this time and we didn't know, like, yeah. But more importantly, now that the game's been out for a while, I've seen some people talk about the lack of replayability that the game has, and unless you're into speedrunning, well, that's somewhat true. To be fair, they did just add this free DLC, and there's probably gonna be more. My issue with it is that it's very fun, it's cool, but you need to beat the final boss, and I just hate that final boss. Like I'm bored. Like, I don't like it. It reminds me of the Resident Evil 3 final boss, which I also thought was meh, like the most uninteresting part of the story. The first phase is fine, the second is meh, anticlimactic, just not interesting, I don't know. But anyways, the true problem that I think outshines in Resident Evil Requiem is a problem that's been present in the series for a while. Resident Evil suffers from an identity crisis. Now, let me explain. As I said, the game is filled with great ideas. I have seen very few people complain of the whole you get to play Grace in a more survival manner and you get to play Leon in a more action manner. It's a smart solution to a problem that the series does factually have. You have many different types of fan. You have the fans of the originals looking for more survival horror experiences, and you have fans of the more action-paced focuses of the games. How do you balance that? Well, the truth is, at this point, you don't, unless you create 2 different games in one game, which they did, and it's smart. My problem with that is I don't think they did it super well. Instead of having one perfected game with a lot of details on only one thing, it spreads out, it doesn't know where to go, it doesn't know where to look at. And the game was fun, so there's no problem, but it can become very quickly dangerous. Finding your own identity is very important. After all, Capcom can just have 2 teams, one working on, I don't know, action spin-offs or DLCs, and one working on more survival games, main games. But I also understand that they found themselves to be in quite the pickle. Resident Evil is one of the longest still running game series in the whole world. You will not be able to satisfy everyone, yet as a producer or an editor, you need to try and reach as many people as possible. It just might become a mistake. And that's why it's interesting to analyze Requiem to understand what's going to happen with Veronica, because the entire premise of Veronica is that you play 2 different characters. For those who don't know the original game,
Alfred! Cross-dressing freak!
Boy, have you lost your mind, cause I'll help you find it.
you play half of it as Claire and half of it as Chris. The Claire parts are most likely to be the ones that are more survival horror focused, you know, slow, more difficult, etc. While the Chris ones are probably the ones that will be very action paced. Now, my problem is, as someone who enjoys the survival horror part and not so much the action part, when I played, I felt satisfied for half a game instead of a full game, especially considering the Leon side is full of problems. Of course, we explore a nuclearized raccoon city, so we end up in pretty boring and uninteresting environments. It's cool for a minute, especially when you recognize certain places from other games, but other than that, it becomes boring very quickly. Like, yeah, sure, the environments all look the same because, you know, nuclear wasteland and whatnot, but it is so sad to spend so many hours around those gray, brownish buildings that all look the same, because it creates such a dissonance with the Grace part, but too much so. Grace's parts are great because you end up in a typical Resident Evil building, which means it's very vibrant, it has a very typical architecture that's just enough to make you think it's beautiful, but also make you feel uneasy. I mean, after all, that's why this specific style of architecture was chosen for the series and became the DNA of Resident Evil. It's the residence, you know, like it's there, it's the residence. But more seriously, it was too long, a bit too boring, too repetitive. every time I replay the game and I get to the Leon part, I'm just like, like I know, I'm bored. I'm bored. Also, this I have to talk about this. I need to talk about this. It's in me. It's been in me. The second I entered this room, I felt it. It's like, all right, you enter this room and you see a mortar. It will indicate that this is a future threat, or it will come back, and it does when the zombies nuke you with them, because you know the whole gimmick of this game is that, hey, this time the zombies remember some actions, which is so cool, and I hope they keep that. That is so cool. But why is it in a building? It's a mortar. Why is it in a building? Why is it drilled into the floor in a building? Like who came up? Like obviously they needed to put it in the building because you enter this building, you enter the area where you're gonna get the mortars. You can't see it before. It would be like sort of spoilers, right? But it's in a building. Well, it's such a hazard. Why would you? Doesn't make any sense. Like that's the kind of detail that makes me go, you guys have great ideas. Why are you doing this? I mean, yeah, I know I'm nitpicking on this, but come on. Things I'm not nitpicking on though is this. Now this part was great. I rarely actually felt like I was in awe, like actual awe at video game scenery. They knew how to take your feelings, if you're already a R fan, and put them right in front of you right here. And the best part about this is that it's not nostalgia bait. Why is it not nostalgia bait? Because you can literally skip this whole section in 5 seconds. You don't have to stay here, but if you do, you'll be rewarded. And that's it. And that's so nice. And that is what I think good use of nostalgia should be. Hell, even the fight is like, it's okay. It's like it was fun, like sure, why not? Now, bad nostalgia bait is this. I refuse to accept this. I will not accept this. That character is dead, and I would prefer we never mention it again. I know there's supposed to be a whole thing in the storyline about like brotherhood and a lineage, like it was handled, it's like it's in the past. It's like, so what is it? Is it a clone? Like Grace is a clone? Clones suck, man. It's like, hey, nothing matters, Thing like because he's clearly not the same. He doesn't act the same. He doesn't talk the same. But it's the same VA in the same face. It's like what's going on here? Like. I don't feel hyped about this at all. I feel bothered. Why do you put this character in here? I heard the voice and I was like, oh my god, because you can bring bro back. It is definitely possible to bring him back and have that be somewhat logical. But that's not even him. It's like point. There's no point. There's nostalgia baiting, and maybe you can tell me, oh, but maybe they have a plan, blah blah. Well, yes and no. You need to self-contained stories. I am a person who will defend multiverses and who will defend media universes like a lot, but you also need to self-contained stories. You need to know where you're going when you write something. However, it was also probably a test to see how people would react. I think there's a lot in Requiem that is, the whole thematic point of Requiem is callbacks, which is great. Bothers me even more that only Leon is present and not the others, but whatever. But still, I can't accept this. If they never mention it again, I guess why not? But actually, maybe it would be smart. Anyway, that's not my point. My point is identity crisis. But still on that. You have the first identity, which we could call the OG identity from the OG era, I guess. Resident Evil 1 to Resident Evil 0. So all these games right here, it is my favorite era. However, it is filled with problems, and I am not one to be unfair. I'm not going to defend it because I prefer it. It's like the other way around. But this is the first era. You get Resident Evil 1, inspired by many other games, especially Alone in the Dark. Inspired by movies. It has this very artistic feel to it, or at least artistic intent. It's followed by Resident Evil 2, which tries to improve on the ID, adding like stuff like this guy. Then Resident Evil 3, same thing. You get Outbreak, you get Code Veronica, and they all follow the same idea, the same pattern of, all right, we have your fixed camera angle, you do the puzzles, you have limited resources. They all try to bring something to the table, of course. They all have like different gimmicks. But by the end of the era, apparently people had enough and were getting bored with the series. So they thought, hey, we need to do something new, because that's normal. Markets changing, we need to change, we need to adapt so we can keep selling games. So far, so good. They're like, hey, Resident Evil 4, let's do a total tone change. At the end of Code Veronica, they're like, yeah, we're finally gonna take down Umbrella. And by the beginning of 4, it's like, all right, Umbrella's been taken down, which is kind of funny. It doesn't really bother me. Years go by. I'm happy that the universe moves on, actually. and instead of just being in a stasis forever. But yeah, that will be the first era. It is defined by a very slow pace and an omnipresent feeling of loneliness, of solitude, of just being in an environment, part of an environment, and trying to leave, trying to escape it. You are not where you are meant to be, and the places are beautiful yet terrifying. And then Resident Evil 4. I don't get it. I mean, funnily enough, this is the game that made me discover the series due to its popularity, but it is like far from my favorite. And also, for those who know me, I have fun on it. It was too action paced for me. It did keep the feeling of loneliness and solitude somewhat, but if you play the game, you feel the tone shift. There's many people who like 4 but don't like 5 and 6, and I don't get it, because 5 and 6 just retake what 4 has. Sure, it doesn't do it as well, but it's also because 5 and 6 are after the shift, right? 4 is the shift, 5 and 6 are the result. It's normal. They all these 3 games for me are a normal trilogy. They make sense together. So you get more action focused games, you get which are all good in their own right. That's the thing. I've been like a 5 and 6 haters since forever. But it doesn't mean that I don't like them. It's more like I find them easier to criticize and just so different from what the series was at first and what the series is originally. I'm also glad they're here because they are fun, and that is why I also love the remake, because it's fun. You have a lot of people who are more fan of this era. Usually they will be fan of 6, but not necessarily only. Who prefer these games, the more action focused, the more like modern focus. I'm not sure how to say it. It's like there's something very modernized about it, very 2000s. I guess it might have been influenced also by the movies that were coming out. I never watched them because no. And finally, you have what I call the re-era, of course, for the remakes and for the Reach the Moon engine, which starts with Resident Evil 7 and ends with, well, I guess we can say it ends with Requiem, honestly. So RE7 redefined what Resident Evil wanted to be. New character, which was pretty ballsy, first-person view, which was also pretty ballsy, and they were really trying to play on this whole, hey, we're a typical horror game now, which of course wasn't the case, but you know. RE7 is fun, and still to this day, it feels like its own game, and that's what's so good about it. Then they remade 2, and it was just great. It was amazing. I loved it. Yeah, sure, it removes a lot of content, but you have to make sacrifices. You cannot just redo the games like we used to. Things just work differently now, and that's okay, because when it's a company like Capcom that's actively trying to make quality like Resident Evil 2 Remake was, meanwhile, you have games like Pokemon that barely try. They barely try to make main games anymore. They don't care. So hey, let's hand remakes to people who are just gonna remake the same game, just with, I guess, better graphics, and then again, quote unquote better, because you know you cannot remove some of the artistic decisions from the original, I guess. Same problem with Oblivion. It was given to a French team that did a great job, but that job was to recreate the game. It doesn't add anything new. RE2 Remake, it's a new game. You can play both right now. You can play the original and you can play the remake, and you will be playing 2 different games. That's what's so good about it, and that's what's so frustrating about 3, because they didn't put as much effort in it, and you can tell. We get this game, we get this game, we get this game, and then we get this game. And then came RE4 Remake. Now, I remember being upset at Capcom because I thought RE3 Remake was was rushed in order for RE4 Remake to be started. But I have to admit it, RE4R is a great game. It is less action-packed than the original, and I think it's overall better. It looks better. Because of the RE engine, they managed to work the environment in such a way that it makes it so enjoyable. It's still too action-focused for me, but I managed to enjoy it much more than I enjoyed Requiem's Leon parts, which we've talked about extensively already. So yeah, those are our 3 eras. But there's a secret 4th era. I don't mean necessarily the one that is starting. Of course, there's one that's definitely starting. It's gonna start with Veronica. Probably, we'll see. But it's the newcomers. It's people who have started playing Resident Evil with Requiem because it's such a goated game that it's brought many newcomers to the series. So we get these 4 categories of people, and that's why I am a bit scared for Veronica. I've seen all of this crammed into Requiem. Like, hey, we don't know who we want to please. We're going to try to please everyone. Like, I don't need you to bring back Lickers just because they're a good enemy. I don't need you to bring back that guy. I just need you to make a good game. And Resident Evil has the capacity to not decide to merge everything into one. I've rapidly mentioned it before, but they could totally just have a whole thing where they spin off more action games, or they spin off more action DLCs and focus on the survival horror part. Of course, I'm gonna say that as a fan of the first style of games, so I totally understand if you'd rather it be the other way around. But the reason I do think I'm in the right is because it's first and foremost a horror game, and you have to look at the intentions made by the first game. If we go back to Resident Evil 1, it was still action focused in its own right. There's a lot to do. Like, it's not that difficult to handle all the ammo and all the stuff and just, shoot at everything. Because here's the thing, everybody loves to remind, oh, Resident Evil, it's the king of survival horror. But here's the thing, I lost my source for this. I read it in the book. I'll put it in the description if I find it. Resident Evil never was a survival horror. It's a genre they've put on themselves rather rapidly for marketing purposes. You don't survive in Resident Evil in the sense that you get to fight back. A true survival game would be Outlast. You don't get to fight back, you just get to survive. Now, Resident Evil was action horror from the beginning, so I don't blame anyone for wanting more action in it. It's an action horror game, it always was. And that is factual from its first game. It's a game in which you need to take your time, feel alone, look at the map, and carry on. And that is why I have so much trouble with the Leon part of Requiem. And I hope the Chris part of Veronica will not feel the same. It shouldn't, considering Rockford Island is an amazing landscape, but that's also why I fear for the future of Resident Evil. Capcom needs to take more critical decisions. You cannot just ram everything into one game. You have to decide what to focus on. I'm scared to buy more Resident Evil games and feel like I'm only playing half a game. I want to play a game just to play a game. And nothing stops them from making 2 games. After all, I believe the production of making one mainline game and making 1 or 2 spin-offs is a great idea, especially for Resident Evil. I mean, they have been doing that for a while and they should keep doing that. But, instead of making some weird-ass multiplayer games that nobody wants to play, they should make new experiences. Hell, imagine this. You get your mainline games and you get, like, I don't know, something like Biohazard episodes or Biohazard files, and it's in between stories of completely random characters, and those stories can be either really action focused or really survival focused, maybe both, whatever, it doesn't matter. And it's kind of like Outbreak, but Outbreak is kind of its own thing, where imagine, I don't know, something in between Code Veronica and 4, or something between 5 and 6, or something between 6 and 7, etc, etc, etc. There's a lot you can do. Side characters, like release a game called Resident Evil Episodes, and then people can buy the episodes they want to play, like kind of like they did in RE2 Remake, where they had this episodic thing of like non-canon stories. That was cool. They could do that. I also understand that there's a very specific way to produce a video game, to edit a video game. You can't just do anything willy-nilly and that will cost you a lot. They've already lost a lot of money from their past failures. But I think that's the thing. They should learn from them. They don't need to bring back famous characters. I think it's been proven now with Ethan and Grace that we are totally willing to play completely random new characters as long as the experience is good. What really matters for a good Resident Evil are 3 things: the music, the graphics in the sense of the scenery and direction, and the environment. You get these 3 things and it's gonna be fine. You have these different types of fans. Make lower cost games so that you can make bigger cost games. It doesn't have to be a AAA every time. Hell, have a whole thing where you make where you hire fans to work on certain projects, or hire like a group of devs that's filled with fans that you're paying, obviously, just to make small self-contained experiences. Not only would everybody love that because you would be putting forward like creative people, but you would also not have to concern yourself so much with ensuring to make a good game. You would still be selling it, you will still be making money, you would be paying people and making money back. That's just normal. And if the episodes aren't great, nobody would blame you for it because it's made by fans. So these people are getting experiences, they're doing something cool. You would have to approve of it anyways. They would learn from you. There is so much everybody would have to gain. But I understand that this idea might be a lot. Either way, it's important for Capcom to understand what they want to do and why. Another good idea could be to have both Outbreak remakes be completely different. A very action-heavy one and a very survival one. Or have the gameplay be completely different depending on the characters you play, and make it so that the characters have to constantly never stick together too much. I don't know. There's a lot they can do without fail. And I'm a bit scared because I could take the wrong decisions, but I'm still trusting even if I end up not liking it, because Capcom is trying, the developers are trying to do something good. They legitimately are putting a lot of effort, even if it ends up being bad, even if it it doesn't matter because they're trying. It's not like Pokemon where I've decided I will stop buying the game. No. I will keep playing Resident Evil because it's great, and so should you. Thank you so much for staying here and listening to my stupid ramble. I saw that Veronica was announced and became completely crazy. I was supposed to make a test or criticism more in depth about 9 when it came out, but I didn't find the time. If you do want one though, I just tell me and I will make it. I will also be playing the Resident Evil games live on stream if you want to know my opinion on more of them. And who knows, maybe make a sort of retrospective on my own, a very personal one after all, not necessarily the most objective. Anyways, if you like this, please consider liking and subscribing, and I hope to see you around.